Deputy Speaker, on the 20th of September 2001, former President of United States of America, George Bush, declared what became known as the War on Terror on Iraq and Afghanistan, stating that, I quote, "It will not end until every terrorist group of global reach has been found, stopped, and defeated." What followed was a massive disinformation campaign to justify the 2003 invasion of Iraq and Afghanistan under the pretext of locating and destroying weapons of mass destruction. Decades later, no such weapons were ever found. This invasion was about minerals and oil reserves, not weapons of mass destruction. Iraq and Afghanistan have never recovered. Cuba, Libya, Venezuela, and Chile are examples of nations that have suffered from U.S. interventions because of their socialist policies, justified by false intelligence to advance imperialism. Cuba has endured decades of sanctions for nationalization of strategic sectors of the economy, supporting African liberation and socialism, while Libya was destroyed because Gaddafi rejected U.S. dominance. We raise these historical facts because history must guide us in everything we do. When Donald Trump declares that, I open quote, "bad things are happening in South Africa," without evidence, we must not assume that the USA is misinformed. Instead, we must question the real intention behind such statement. After Trump's remarks, the US froze foreign aid globally under the pretext of assessing alignment with the policy outlook. For South Africa, this meant PEPFAR funding of HIV/AIDS response was under threat. On 26 February 2025, the freeze became permanent, terminating funding indefinitely. The US aggression towards South Africa is nothing more than Israel's revenge for our moral stance in support of Palestine. Meanwhile, some of us have been labeled international criminals, a designation used before the West assassinates those who opposed its agenda. Before invading the nations, the US always fabricates human rights violation to justify intervention. Today, same tactics are being used against South Africa. The growing calls by right-wing groups for foreign funding to establish independent states and to be armed by foreign interests must be recognized as part of a broader plan. This is the early stage of economic isolation, leading ultimately to military intervention. Next, AGOA will be terminated, escalating tensions between USA and South Africa. Our government must dismiss opportunistic African and racist groups exploiting US imperialism to fund their racist fantasies of an independent state. That will never happen. We will expropriate land without compensation, whether they like it or not. If they object, they can seek refuge in America. Deputy Speaker, Trump and the USA are not demonstrating strength. The USA is merely displaying an advanced stage of capitalism, which is imperialism. Trump engages in transactional and manipulative relationships with the world like it is his backyard. The hostility towards South Africa does not come from fraudulent boers spreading disinformation, but from America's imperialist agenda. The USA, home of the world's most sophisticated intelligence agencies, agencies that fabricate evidence to justify the invasion of Afghanistan and Iraq, and orchestrated the assassination of Muammar Gaddafi, Patrice Lumumba, Martin Luther King Jr., and Malcolm X, cannot now claim to be victims of disinformation from a minor racist group based in Orania. The USA has openly embraced the golden age of imperialism, extending its power through threats and the prevention and termination of foreign aid. In response, our government foolishly seeks to explain our policies to a maniacal president, as if the USA were a victim of misinformation. The USA knows exactly what it's doing and why it is doing it. At a Goldman Sachs event of the 27th of February 2025, South Africa President Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa stated, I quote, "Trump got the wrong end of the stick of the country's land policies. I completely reject this notion. The USA, home of Elon Musk's platform, X platform, Jeff Bezos, Amazon, Facebook, Google, Tesla, Starlink, and Silicon Valley, the global hub of data collection, cannot claim to be misinformed. They are the greatest perpetrators of disinformation. The USA is the greatest perpetrator of disinformation. It is now using its own falsehood as justification to attack South Africa. This government refused to acknowledge the real issues. We are being punished for supporting Palestine against apartheid Israel, nothing else. The USA does not believe there is a white genocide or land grabs in South Africa. These lies are useful tools to justify economic aggression and seek to weaken our moral authority to condemn Israel's genocide. Foreign aid has always been a tool for Western imperialism and control. It must end with South Africa. We must expand our trade and strengthen relationship with China, India, Russia, Brazil, and Singapore while emphasizing African unity. The USA is on a full mission to extort the world into submission, and as a result will become increasingly isolated. Our sovereignty, security, and economic prosperity on rejecting the American Golden Age, a project of imperialism. The world must move forward without the USA if true progress is to be achieved. We are not the puppets of the USA. We will never be bullied by Donald Trump and his friends. South Africa remains an independent state, which is not handled by the USA. The majority of South Africans love their whites. They worship them everywhere they go. Why will they kill them? They always seek white validation and affirmation of whiteness. It is a black talent. It is a black talent. It is not a black talent until white people say so. If it is a black skill or innovation, it is not until white say so. If it is black quality product, it will have to pass many hands before they endorse this product. Any political party without white endorsement will never receive any electoral support and financial support until white establishment says so. Like the Cuban people will never give up on our freedom against American imperialism. We must unashamedly continue to stand with Palestine and Russia. We are product of international solidarity. We are Palestinians and they are Africans. We will die shoulder by shoulder with Palestinian people. We will be buried next to their graves because no amount of American bullying and financial dictatorship will separate us. Not even death will succeed. From the river to the sea, Palestine shall be free. We are not product of land theft or genocide. We are not grabbing any land, but claiming what rightfully belongs to us. We are not engaged in what genocide. Instead, we are coexisting with our white murderers. Whatever it takes, this land shall be expropriated and will be returned to its rightful owners. Victory is certain. Hasta la victoria siempre.
I now invite the Honourable the Minister of Health.